Three, two, one.
Hey, welcome to Sparky's. Could I set up you folks with some appetizers? You do realize that lunch is the most important meal of the day? Some people say that, but hey, that's just a theory.
A game theory. Hello, welcome to Game Theory. Campy Cast. And today we're gonna be dissecting the new the new FNAF floor thing.
Yeah. So to give some context for the 6 people who care, Elm Street Part 2 is still happening. However, we decided that we're going to do, this will be a little bit of a smaller episode. However, these 2 films we're discussing just came out, and we wanted to talk about both of them as they're fresh in our minds. So welcome to the, hold on, can you do like a drum roll sound effect quickly? Like a...
Drum roll.
Welcome to the better Barbenheimer, the better Saw Patrol, 5 Nights at Panderverse.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is not an official trend. Just both of these movies that I was excited for came out on the same day. Yeah. And me and Anthony over here did a neat double feature of them last night. It was very cool. So, we're here to talk about both films. And I'm excited for both of these.
But
I guess we could just get right into it, unless there's any news. But I don't think there is.
But we basically usually right after this we were gonna do Elm Street Part 2, but basically that was just kind of hard to do, and it definitely won't be coming out before like Halloween. So this is basically our Halloween special. So happy Halloween, guys. Happy early Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is like our early Halloween special. Elm Street 2 will happen just like in like the start of November instead. We're just kind of separating a little gap between both of them this time.
You can just pretend that's still our Halloween special, though. Like, it'll fit in fine, but
we're still gonna do that. We're definitely still gonna do it. We just thought it would be easier to do this episode this way because we did plan it originally like after Elm Street Part 2. But we just saw the FNAF movie and the new South Park special, which I thought would be fun to fit in, which I'll talk more about, like my relationship with South Park later, along with Brian's relationship, a whole thing. But I don't know. There's not really much news other than the FNAF movie came out. And
there was that. I feel like there's got to be something else. Okay. So I guess a lot of the news articles that would have dropped, they relate to FNAF in some way, shape, or form, or South Park in way. Oh wait, hold on. There was one announcement. The Black Phone 2 got announced, and that's the only announcement I can see. It's coming out 2025.
Wasn't that already announced beforehand, though? Or was it?
Well, you got a
release date. So, yeah, basically, I think we'll just get into FNAF first, since I think that one just kind of came out before. I mean, technically, it came out the same day, but, early screenings actually happened, blah, blah, blah. But, in this case, I think test screenings, yeah. But, I guess if you want, we could just get into FNAF, which is the main thing we'd be discussing this episode.
We're waiting every night to finally rum and invite newcomers to play with us.
Yeah, so let's get into the FNAF movie, baby. Let's go. The 5 Nights at Freddy's movie.
FNAF movie. Okay, this is definitely gonna be. I'm not as much of a FNAF expert, so I'll let Anthony take some of it away. But I guess to give some brief rundown. So FNAF. I forget. I think like a year ago at this point we did that episode on Willy's Wonderland and Banana Split. And I think we talked about FNAF a bit in that episode and our like relationship
Yeah.
to it. But that episode's like a year old, and I forget what I even said in that one. So we'll just
Yeah, we'll
pretend it
just
didn't
recap.
happen.
So we did that one at that one episode. I got that like cool idea because I thought I recently watched those movies around that time, and I thought it would be funny to kind of like bring them onto the podcast and discuss them, and like maybe mention
Yeah,
the
exactly.
FNAF movie. So yeah, that one like to this day came out like a year ago. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
around that time.
I think it's fitting that we do this now, Not the real FNAF movie is finally
Yeah.
out. A year ago, we just dealt with the ones that came before because people were like, Blumhouse was taking so long to make the movie that people decided, fine, they'll do it themselves. So I guess we got
Yeah, people
something else.
really wanted FNAF.
Yeah,
When I meant really, they really wanted it. I, don't know, I guess to just recap, from that episode, which I forget if I repeat anything for there, I apologize. But I don't re-listen to the old episodes. But I don't know, mainly, I have never been a big FNAF person, mainly because like frankly, I'm not huge on the gameplay from what I played. I played FNAF one for a bit, and I'm like, I see the appeal, but this really is not for
Yeah, I could
me,
kind
and I
of
haven't picked it up
understand
since.
that. The gameplay of the first
Yeah.
FNAF game is pretty simplistic, and I think it
I get
works.
I get the simplicity, just something that doesn't appeal to me
That's fair.
all too much. And I don't know. Yeah, and even for people who don't like the games as much, they're like, but the lore. And
The
I don't know.
lore.
Respectfully, respectfully, every time, like, Anthony, you've tried explaining the lore for me,
Yeah,
it's kind of in one ear, out the other. Like, what's happening? There's like this guy that fucking multiple restaurants, William and Henry and Michael and all these names. Like, what's even happening anymore? I
it's
don't get
really
it.
confusing in a lot of ways. Like there were a lot of like
Yeah.
theories and mystery going around with this movie. A lot of people just like were unsure what they were gonna do with it, and I was like, it was just a mystery. We didn't know what was gonna happen. There were like all these leaks. There was like for like this movie was announced 8 years ago, and it was supposed to be at
Hmm.
Warner Bros. And directed by Chris Columbus, the director of Pixels and Home Alone. It was supposed to make a FNAF movie, but that didn't end up happening. It was given to Blumhouse, and then from there, the film was just kind of
Yeah.
quiet. People were asking about it. Jason Blum. It was all just a mystery with the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Which, I don't know. I think the main the main thing is my worries as an outsider were two main things. One, Blumhouse are not the most trustworthy guys, and they're like, I, well, I can't say I respect their business model, but I certainly understand how it works. They're like, all right, we make horror movies for cheap, and they make a lot of money because low budget's easy to make their money back. This is the general formula of like horror probably since the 80s, but even still they've monopolized it for a modern generation, which is why they make so many hits like movies like The Black Phone and Mathregan that we talked about that make a lot of money.
yeah,
That was my one concern. I didn't trust the Blumhouse. And two, my main concern was how the fuck are you gonna make a FNAF movie appeal to an outsider like me who is not familiar with the lore or the games as much? Long story short, this is not a movie that appeals to outsiders very
no,
well,
not
but
really.
still,
No.
it's fun.
Yeah,
No,
it's a big issue with this movie, and I'll talk more about it in a bit once we're done like recapping the whole story around it and start talking about the actual plot. But the movie doesn't really like if you're not a FNAF fan, you will not get much out of this at all. It's the same thing to like it's similar to the Mario movie, but I feel like it's even like worse case in this movie. Like there's a lot of things about both of those movies that I feel like would just be really confusing to an outsider, and I feel like that shouldn't be the main like the person going to see the movie. It should be their job to like have to play the games or what. You should try and appeal to like people who like just all
Mhm.
audiences. The movie. This should be like, try and introduce FNAF to a whole new demographic, and the movie does not do a good job at doing that
No,
because
it does not
yeah, it's like
at
there's a
all.
lot of things that are probably like really confusing to people who haven't played the games or have an actual life and study the lore and don't study the lore. Sorry, Matt
Well,
Pat.
I
No
don't
offense,
have
Matt
an
Pat.
actual life and
I'm
don't
joking.
study the law,
I'm
but
joking. In all
I
seriousness,
I
like
don't know. See, okay, I don't know. See, the thing with FNAF is just I want to get this out of the way so that I think it really will explain to me why I enjoy the movie as much as I do. But so I went with you and another one of our friends. Shout outs to my boy Firemaster. But basically we all went and the theater experience. Well, see, this movie released same day on Peacock, but I think a lot of
uh,
people are still seeing this in theaters because frankly, most people don't have Peacock, so
yeah,
it's like,
like
well, they're not
yeah,
gonna
it's
go to
weird. So
that.
like I didn't expect
Yeah, but yeah,
much people to go see it from there.
yeah, yeah, but no, but then we were there opening night, and honestly, it's as of now definitely one of my favorite theater experiences. I don't know about you, but I fucking
I
love the
agree.
whole like.
Everyone was just having a good
I
time.
love. I know it was great, and like the energy of the room was infectious because you could tell everyone there was someone who loved FNAF and just loved
Yeah,
what the
like me.
franchise does. And yeah, exactly. No, and it was like really great. Like people, there were so many parts where I was like, see, I know these people. You could tell they like really cared because they were like, first of all, there were like specific bits where like people would like shout out inside jokes, but you'd get it because it's like, oh, it's
Yeah,
FNAF. Like when
like the
like when Chica
memes.
showed up, a couple people, yeah, when a Chica showed up, a couple people yelled meat as a reference to the recent I Show Speed controversy. That was one thing that made me laugh. But even ignoring stupid stuff like that, there were other bits like I remember fuck when Matt Pat showed up, the people were fucking hooting and
Oh,
hollering. It
yeah.
was like Toby and Andrew No Way Home theater shit.
Yeah,
And then fuck what was that other guy? Corey X? What's his name?
Ori X
The
Kenshin.
other
He was
guy?
in the trailer of the movie, yet people
Oh.
still clapped. I am not as
Yeah, 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 yeah.
experienced with him as I am with Matt Pat. And also, yes, spoilers, spoilers. We should have mentioned that. But let's be honest, I
We even have
feel
to
like
mention spoiler. We spoil every movie we talk
yeah,
about.
but the
I don't
movie's like
even
still in theaters. I don't want people to like, still. I only
uh,
like stress this when it's like a new film in theaters. So like yeah, when like not everyone has probably seen it yet, though probably a lot of people who are watching this, but still, But yeah, you probably would have already knew Matt Pat was in because the guy literally made a video recently talking about his appearance in the movie. So he basically
yeah,
just kind
yeah.
of admitted it. And yeah, he plays like a
Yeah, but
diner guy, and
yeah.
yeah, he plays a
Hey, well,
waiter.
we did his quote. We did his quote at the beginning of the
That's
video for
true.
you
That's true.
people who didn't pick up on that. But yeah, anyway, fuck was it? Yeah, okay, yeah. So what I was gonna say before we kind of derailed was that so there was that, and then that guy who people fucking clapped at, and then every time William Afton did something, people clapped, and there were a bunch of specific moments. People were
Yeah,
like
it was amazing.
unintentionally laughing at certain silly bits, and the point is, it just that type of energy is something I really have like missed seeing in like an audience. There was like such a nice, vibrant community, and even though I don't like FNAF as much, it was like I said, it was infectious seeing the people who did just all in one room, being like, oh, it was this really nice atmosphere and definitely contributed a lot to my enjoyment of the movie.
Hmm.
I think this movie is really bad, but it is certainly a fun experience if you're with the right people or if you like FNAF. If you don't enjoy the franchise, I can see you hating this movie
Oh,
because there
yeah.
is not a lot there on a basic character level. Which is funny because fucking Scott Cawthon was like hyping this up with like multiple years of experience, and he was like, had
Exactly.
to iron out all the details, and this is what you fucking came up with, Scott. Good job, buddy.
Yeah,
Sure,
no offense to him, but
it's
yeah, there's
kind of
still there's
embarrassing,
just like
but
this stuff with the story just wasn't
yeah.
like done as well. Like there's just a
Mhm.
lot to be desired here with the narrative. But yeah, talking about the actual movie instead of everything around it, like how long it took to make and whatnot. But Yeah, so the movie is a pretty simple plot. It's basically mainly adapting the first game story, which you've played a bit of, but I don't know if you know the actual story.
Yeah.
But it follows the
Well, I don't know, but that
security
one has a
guard.
very simple story. Like the guy, he's a security guard. This is what he's named, Mike, who
Yeah.
I thought was supposed to be a reference to the character Michael Afton, but that might have just been me
That
theorizing. I
might
don't know
be
if that.
because at the end of the first game, the paycheck sent Mike Schmidt. That's what he's supposed to be in this movie. Just the yeah, who in the lore is
Oh,
Michael Afton, but based off of the timeline this game is going by, I don't think he's the son of William. So yeah,
well, if he was the son of William, then Vanessa would know that, so that would be weird if they
yeah. Unless there's like
didn't
some
do that.
hidden backstory between, I don't know. It wouldn't make much
Unless they
sense.
were like separated at birth and it's dramatic or some
I
shit,
don't know.
but
We'll
I
see what
don't.
they do with the sequel, which this film is doing really well so far. So based off of how films like M3 again and Black Phone are getting a sequel, I'm pretty sure FNAF will follow suit. So yeah, we're probably gonna get FNAF 2, the movie, like 2026 or 2020. I don't know, sometime later in this decade, we'll probably get the sequel, which I'm still going to see because I gotta see how they continue this goddamn story. This movie is just, it feels
Um,
unfinished in places. It's like a lot of it just
okay,
kind of like
I think. See, really, I think it's kind of like when we talked about the Mario movie previously, where you have to be a big fan for. And with Mario, even though I wasn't even huge in that movie, there was that part of me as a Mario fan who was like, "Oh my goodness, they like referenced the Nintendo GameCube." And this one track from Captain Toad, but with this, I didn't really get any of that. So, and if you want to focus on the story of this movie, it's kind of shit, to be honest. Our main character, Mike, I don't care about him. He First of all, his acting's not the best.
not the
It kind of
best.
goes with
Not
everyone in this movie. This movie doesn't
terrible.
have really good acting.
Acting isn't. I don't think the
Uh,
acting's terrible. I do really like Matthew Lillard in this movie, like as William
I wish
Afton.
there was more of him,
Yeah,
but
he's like in the.
uh,
I mean, he
he
doesn't do
spends most of his
much.
screen time at a desk,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
he's in the opening,
but
the beginning of the movie, and the end of the movie, and then in the middle, he just completely forgotten about. Like they teased him secretly being William Afton, but then like they don't do anything with it because what's so confusing is that he just kind of pops out of nowhere in the climax. In the scene where he's introduced
yeah,
as
I
a
know it's so fucking weird. Okay, that's the thing. Here's the thing. Afton as a character does not have much foreshadowing. He's at the beginning, and okay, this is kind of one of the things where it's like you need to be a FNAF fan to get this stuff because there's like a big hole here where people who have played the games could be like, oh, I remember what William Afton's backstory is. That's why he killed children and is now wearing this animatronic suit. But for me, who doesn't get all of that, I'm like, well, where the fuck did our antagonist go? He's just gone for most of the movie, and then he shows up in the last 5 seconds. They were like, well, actually, he killed a bunch of people, and also Vanessa, the girl that's following around in this movie, is his daughter. And then he dies, and then it just has a narrative. It's like, how the fuck do I follow that?
it
That
doesn't
doesn't
make
make
much
sense.
sense because like I know what who's William is, but the audience doesn't. But if you're not a FNAF fan, you're not gonna know. Like I'm like people are
Exactly.
gonna be really confused of why the fuck he's even doing this in the first place. You know, like he doesn't like. There's not much of a clear motivation. Like in the lore, there is sure, but like it shouldn't be someone who isn't a FNAF fan's job to know everything about the lore. The movie should be
Exactly.
like guiding them through
I'm
it
like,
instead of like
look,
assuming
I'm
they
like,
know already.
yeah, like, look, I'm not gonna watch fucking hours of Matt Pat videos to understand the intricacies of why William Afton did what he did. I can't do that. It's not gonna fucking work out. So
Yeah.
there's all that, and it's like, shit. It's what was it? Yeah, and then there's that, which is another thing, which I don't. I really just wanted more Matthew Lillard, and I love what he does. Matthew Lillard, I know he's kind of he's kind of been typecast. Most of his roles in the last like decade have just been fucking Shaggy from Scooby Doo over and over again. But the guy's a talented actor. Like if you watch like this and like the original Scream, he's really good. He just doesn't get those roles as often.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then but yeah, even like besides that, like I don't know, our main guy, Mike, I don't feel for him as much. He's just kind of weird. They try to set up this stuff about how he has trauma because he keeps having this fucking dream over and over again, which is movie wants you to be scared of, I think. But I could not fucking take any of that seriously. It's so goofy when they're like all the kids are like running away and stuff.
Around and he tries to chase him. Just the way it's like put together is so goofy. Like
exactly. It's like, well, what are you even doing? What's happening? I don't even.
Yeah.
And then fucking when the kids fucking run off and everything. It's so hard to take it seriously, and that's like that kind of translates to one of my biggest problems with the movie. Okay, FNAF you could comment more on this mainly, but from what I gather, I don't think FNAF is I could be wrong, but from what I gather, I don't think FNAF is a series that goes the best when it comes to like. When it comes to actually being scary, because I'm watching and I'm like, well, I don't know, they rely on a lot of jump scares and tactics or whatever, and it's like, I'm not quite affected by that. But I don't know, when it comes to this movie, any of the times the movie tried to be scary, I was honestly kind of laughing because the jump scares are just cheap, but it's funny how it's just like, like a fucking shit post timing. And like the actual like the only bit that kind of got me in terms of like actually scary is when Afton is a spring lock near the end, and they get that is a cool visual. I will give the movie that. Even then, it feels like but even then, it feels held back because like where's the gore? I know you're PG-13 so that all the 8-year-olds can go into the audience, and to be fair, our audience would not go as hard as it did if it was like a higher age rating, so I'm glad it wasn't rated higher. But still, it's like, come on.
Yeah,
it was a little underwhelming.
It was still like a good scene though, and like I think it was cool to finally see just the whole thing, despite how like underutilized William Afton is. The scene where he shows up, to me as a FNAF fan and like who's familiar with his character and whatnot, I like to see that scene, and I actually really like his inclusion there. I think the line delivery is really good. Dialogue's a bit cheesy, but in the best way possible. And it's like, just seeing the animatronics start to realize who he truly is. It's kind of done in an illogical way, which I'll get to in a bit, but it's like, it's a cool scene, and then he gets spring locked, and they cheese him for the next movie, and I'm like, it's great. What the fuck was he in the movie more? This movie would have been better if he was like more of a prominent antagonist. Like the narrative in general would probably just work better because he just feels like sadly just kind of crammed at the end. But it's not like he's far from the only like problem with this movie. But even then, like his character seems solid. The way the movie uses him though just isn't really that good.
Well, yeah, because see, from what I hear, I do kind of like what his motives are in like the games, because you can elaborate more probably, but from what I know, it's like William only started killing because his own kid died, and that led to him going insane, kind of, and that gives him like an interesting dynamic or whatever. But this movie doesn't give any of that, so it's like, well. We don't know why he killed children.
You don't know anything about him, technically.
You don't even know if he has a son. So what's his motive here, damn it?
He has a daughter. That's about it. Yeah. And like, I just want to know.
Also, I just
want to see more of him. Yeah. I like. I don't. And then the stuff with like the main characters isn't really that interesting. The main little girl doesn't honestly, she's just your typical little girl in a horror movie. She has plot armor, the acting isn't the best. It's like, I think to give credit, I assume the kid's trying. I don't know. I don't want to. I feel bad when I judge young children because a lot of them I don't think even know that much better. But I don't know.
she's not the best. I'm not really sold on her dynamic with Mike,
Yeah,
mainly because I don't think she and Mike have enough like it's like I don't know. Mike literally says she spends more time fucking doodling than talking to him, so I don't feel like I get that dynamic
I
as
don't
much as the
really
movie.
feel like they care about each other for the majority of the movie. I didn't never, and I've really got
Exactly.
that feeling. And yeah, and
Yeah, and also the whole like lore of it, I don't think fuck. I'm still not entirely sure how this shit works because she does these drawings right that apparently like
it's
impact
so
what
fucking
happens at
confusing.
Freddy's
Yeah,
or whatever.
I don't
But and
know.
also for some reason her drawings also impact Mike's dreams, which also impact what happens at Freddy's, even though what gives this girl this like significant power to her.
Oh,
Like I don't, frankly, I do not fucking get it, and
yeah,
I don't
I
even
don't
know if
get
the
it
movie
either,
itself
if
gets
I'm
it.
being
It's weird.
completely honest. So basically, I think she has like this psychological bond with the other kids or something for some reason, I guess, since she's also a kid, I guess. And then they then she starts drawing pictures of them. And I guess she somehow finds out that William killed them. And then like that's like a main plot. The reason the animatronics turn on William is because of her drawings. And then they just immediately turn on Afton because of her drawings. And it's like, what? How do these work? Like how does she do this? How does she know so much about these kids? Like she seems to talk to them like this in the dream. This whole thing just isn't elaborated upon well at all. It's just like I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
still really confused about it. Yeah.
yeah, that whole thing just kind of messed with my head. I'm like, I don't get it, and I don't. For how much Scott Cawthon obsesses over his lore, you think it would add up more than it actually fucking does, but well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't, even if you want to ignore how much sense it makes, like you said, I don't know, Mike and um Abby, yeah, I don't like them as characters as much. And then there's also Vanessa, who is in Security Breach. I want to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
yeah,
She is in
Security Breach.
security breach. Yeah. Um.
Yeah, and she's fine. I don't know. I don't get her. She's kind of my main criticism is she just kind of randomly fucking shows up. She just kind of appears, and I'm like, well, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what's happening?
Not much is
What's got?
really
It was weird to me,
done with her.
but
The twist that she's William's daughter
mhm.
isn't really expanded
It
upon.
doesn't make sense because I don't. We don't really get what happened between the two of them to have them falling out. I don't know why William's killing his own daughter in this version. We don't really know what their
Yeah,
dynamic
because
was
in
like
the
or anything.
lore, from what I'm heard, that William is like a
The
family
war,
man.
blah,
Yeah.
blah.
So like him
Yeah.
murdering a family member just doesn't really seem like something lore wise he would do, I guess. Like I don't know. I just didn't really care. I mean, technically she doesn't die, I think. I think she'll probably come back. Same with William, because he always comes back. He says the thing, baby, he says the thing, he says the catchphrase. I
Mhm.
love them. Honestly, I was just like so interested to see this world come to life. And I think it's good to talk about like how like I'd say this movie looks pretty good visually. Like the animatronics, the sets, they actually look really good and ripped straight from the
Yeah, no,
game.
I will give them that. I'm not quite sure how much of it was practical, but it does all look good.
Yeah.
It gets the animatronic like look of them all right, which is good. I think that's a lot of things that that's a big thing that I think FNAF fans really wanted
Yeah, I
for
know.
a while.
I've
Like,
seen
oh,
a lot
yeah,
of
they get.
complaints with the red
Mhm.
eyes they have, and like they don't look the best, but not really a huge issue, if I'm being honest. They just look
Yeah, oh,
cool.
I didn't even notice. I do think I will say, I think the designs of the actual like not even this isn't even really a compliment to the movie, just the characters in general. I'm partially misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure the reason that FNAF is even a horror franchise is because Scott Coffin had these like designs, but then they were like he said that they looked too creepy. So then he utilized that and was like, "Oh, we'll make it
Yeah,
purposely creepy, like a horror thing." I think that's kind of a
yeah.
funny way how it was like he used this criticism and accidentally made it into like the thing that has
This big
defined
ass
Scott.
horror franchise by
Yeah,
accident.
and really, I do think I like the designs of the actual like our four. There's a Freddy, Chica, I miss you, baby. Foxy and Bonnie, right?
Yeah.
Those are the
Yeah,
four. Yeah.
that's
Okay.
the
Yeah.
gang.
I like the designs a lot. They're cool. Apparently, there were other ones like fucking
Golden
Balloon
Freddy.
Boy.
Yeah, Balloon Boy. That
Balloon
was like
Boy.
a small like artifact. That was a cool cameo. They kept like doing those stupid jump scares, which I thought were kind of funny. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, there was Golden Freddy, whose inclusion was really weird. Like, honestly, also in the shots that he's in, you could barely tell he's golden. But yes, that is Golden Freddy or Sans
I
Freddy
couldn't
because he
even
has
tell it
the
was a different color than like regular Freddy, but
yeah,
oh
yeah.
well.
He has the Sans eye though, so maybe that's how you could tell. And he's missing an ear, so it is Golden Freddy. But yeah. So I don't know. Basically, Golden Freddy is one of the most mysterious characters in the FNAF lore. So like his inclusion doesn't really do much. Like I don't know who's possessing him. I think it might have been like the main kid out of them all or something. Like there was a lot of the kids, the main one who I think is possessing Freddy or Golden Freddy. I don't know who's possessing who. This movie's confusing sometimes, but still, it's like
I don't know.
yeah.
It's weird. I
Um,
don't quite get it. Hmm.
the way the movie just everything like there's a lot of cool like details and cameos. There's like one thing I noticed which I thought was kind of weird, but after realizing after the movie, so a while ago in the FNAF community there was like this hoax of another animatronic named Sparky the
Oh,
dog. So it was like a hoax thing. People
oh, is
thought
that
there was
like?
this other animatronic, this like
Oh,
replica thing.
oh, I get it. That's why the diner's
It's
called
called
Sparky.
Sparky's, yeah. Matt Pat pointed that out, and I was like, wow, that's a cool detail.
Hey, welcome to Sparky's. Can I set your folks up with some appetizers?
Yeah. Um,
You do realize that lunch is the most important. Oh, by the way, this is kind of a
it's-
detour, but I think we should bring it up with the Matt Pat cameo. I saw someone had to point this out to me, but I just noticed that Matt Pat's character is named
named the
Ness,
Ness.
based off his iconic
Like Santa
Sans Ness
Ness. And that
theory.
was intentional.
Yeah,
That was intentional. That's so
yeah.
funny that they
I
did
saw
that
that. That's like,
intentionally.
oh my god.
That is
Even
amazing.
fucking years later, that theory haunts Matt Pat. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
I know. He gets
But
clowned on
yeah,
it all the time. Like it's like out of all the theory, I know Matt Pat gets
mm,
like clowned a lot for some of his dumb theories, but like that one's like the one that specifically gets clowned on. So like that being referenced is like Scott also was the one who thought of the idea. Apparently, he wanted Matt Pat's character to be named Ness specifically. So
mm.
yeah, he was clearly aware about that. And Matt Pat even got to meet him. Also, the lack of Markiplier, I understand why he wasn't in the movie because he's making his own film Iron Lung, which I'll definitely check out.
Which I'm really excited for that one. Actually,
Yeah,
I'm not even.
I
I
hope.
didn't. I don't even really watch Markiplier, but I think that'd be cool to like watch.
Yeah, film he
But
made. Yeah, I'm looking
yeah,
forward to
so, I mean,
checking.
it's weird because I think yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. See, I know. I remember beforehand. It was like they were thinking, okay, Markiplier, he was like being vague as to whether he'd actually cameo in the
Yeah,
movie. I know in one of his videos he was
it's
winking to
like
the
I'm in the
camera, being like he
movie.
can yeah,
Yeah,
wink, wink,
he was
which is
basically
funny because like
teasing it, and he was also like
mm,
ignoring the film's existence to kind of like, yeah. But
yeah,
then it turned out,
apparently he was gonna fucking play the security guard in the
oh, I
opening,
couldn't
which would be
imagine.
insane.
Yeah, because we were in a noisy theater already. If Markiplier was the first character we saw, the whole theater would just run wild as soon as the film started and would just set an
No,
amazing
I'm
mood for
honestly
the
I am
scene.
kind of glad though because I feel like we had claps, but they were like in duration. Like we people weren't clapping at the opening, although there were some people hooting and hollering. They're like, "Oh my god, is that
It's not called
Golden
Bite
Freddy's
of
not on the
87.
record?"
Speaking of
Yeah,
which.
Okay, no, oh yeah, someone did say that. They were like, "Was that the bite of '87?" Which there's no bite of '87
There
in
is a
this
scene
movie,
where
is there
Freddy
not?
violently eats someone, which I want to mention. This film is
With
kind of,
no blood.
yeah, it's kind of hold
Mm.
back by its PG-13 rating. Like the scenes with Bonnie killing that one robber and Freddy eating this other girl was like, it felt like there was like so much gore that would have been showed if it was an R-rated cut. But obviously this film is never going to be R-rated because of FNAF's like main appeal to like, at this point it's more of like geared towards kids now. It's like a kids horror franchise. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's ironic in an attempt to like appeal to such older audiences, FNAF has targeted a mass amount of 8-year-olds who like the lore. And I get it. Kids want to feel grown up, so they watch the thing that's like spooky and like that.
yeah, I'd say that's like it's like a weird thing with the, yeah, I didn't really expect the movie to be
Yeah.
that scary. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I do think it'd be cool, but I didn't come to this movie for genuine scares. It's
yeah.
kind of okay.
It would have been nice if there
Like,
was some creepy stuff. The best scene was probably the stuff with William. Like, I think the voice, just, everything about, like, the performance and whatnot. And even just the costume he has looks really good. Like, damn, I love it.
mhm.
It's yeah, just wish the movie utilized him better. Also, the pacing of this movie sucks. I just say that the movie just, like, it has, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really feel like much
Yeah,
even
okay, it's
happens
weird. I
after
feel
that.
like it's weird. It feels like a lot happens, but also nothing happens at the same time. There's like a certain point where Abby is like finally befriending the animatronics, and there's these stupid fucking montages where it's like we're gonna have fun building a fort
Building a
with
fort.
Freddy and the gang, and
Yeah,
it's like
it's
it's
such
like
a stupid
look, it just
moment.
deflates the tension for a little while. It's
Yeah, it
fucking
comes out of
stupid.
nowhere. That's stupid. I feel like the movie just doesn't manage the whole like creepy
Hmm.
yet campy tone that I feel like it wants to. But it like with after the fucking fort scene, it's like weird to go back to trying to treat these guys like an actual threat afterwards. It's like so off-putting. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, but and then after that, because the movie just like not a lot happens after the point because we got to meander for wacky hijinks with the FNAF gang,
Whoa.
and it's like I don't know, and fuck, it's just weird. I don't know. I don't really, to be honest, I don't really buy the Well, I get it from the little kid's perspective. She's stupid, but she's like a young kid. I'll like cut
Yeah.
slack there, but it's like I don't know. And then fuck, I don't really buy like I don't get connected to the relationship between Abby and the FNAF animatronics that much. It's like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. In terms of other like criticisms, I'd say that the I don't know. I think I've said most of my like main issues. A lot of it just feels hold back in areas. There's like cool cameos, like I said, like the map pad. I love the map pad cameo. I know it was like
But hey,
unsubtle
that's
with
just
him
a
saying
theory.
that it's just a theory, but honestly, it was just funny still. I don't care
Okay,
if the
that's
movie
such a silly
happens.
nod. Okay, that is such a silly nod to the audience that I can't help but laugh.
It's so
And
funny.
really, it's like, really, it's like, look, Matt Pad, for all intents and purposes, he helped create FNAF's reputation just as much as like the
Markiplier.
the actual games did. So it's
Yeah,
like,
and Markiplier.
look,
But Markiplier is also a huge part of FNAF's reputation, and that's like another reason why he wasn't in the movie. But at least we got someone. Good for Matt Pat. Did a good
yeah.
job. But yeah, like
Mhm.
it must have been like really cool to just see some of that stuff in person, especially if like you're a YouTuber who does FNAF and you get to see these characters come to life. And that was cool to me, just seeing this world, these animatronics and the pizzeria, some cool details. It just definitely felt like they were trying to pay tribute to FNAF fans by the climax of it. And that's like I just had a great time,
Yeah.
everyone was having a good
Oh, I
time.
definitely did.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed
It
just like
was
the animatronic shenanigans, even the fort building thing. While it was definitely really stupid, I just thought it was
I
fun.
liked it in a campy way because it didn't make much
Yeah,
sense,
yeah,
but it was fun.
it's a
I
fun
guess.
movie. The tone isn't really like I
Mhm.
feel like there was potential for this movie, but I don't know. There's just like a lot of things that like I don't know. The main missed potential for the lore mainly came for the stuff with William. So yeah,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
oh well. Also, I
I don't
kind
know,
of
really. Yeah, you could go on.
I kind
Okay.
of wish that like so. Let's be honest. The girl had like plot armor, right? But kind of. But
Oh
by
no, she definitely did. It's like I kind of get the idea. It's like what the movie's going for is I don't know. You can say it's convenient that the girl doesn't get
to
fucking
be fair,
devoured
these
by
type of
the. But
kids
I don't know
always
the
have
idea.
plot armor most of the time in these horror
Yeah,
movies. It's like
I
a
get
common
that.
thing.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think the idea is that see the kids still have the souls of the young children in them. So they're gonna hang out with this little girl. It's just with certain people, William's influence
Yeah.
comes out a little more. But also the movie doesn't explain that the best, so I don't really get
Yeah,
what's
so
going on
like
there.
the
I get
animatronics
the
don't.
idea, but it doesn't pan out as
Yeah,
well.
so
So
the
yeah.
animatronics apparently don't know that William killed them until like the Abby's stupid drawings, I guess, and then that just makes them turn on him. And it's like a good scene. I don't know. That might just because I'm a FNAF fan. It was cool to finally see a scene like that, but still. And then he said his catchphrase, which like in the context of the movie, it's goofy. Like I understand that he's trying to tell them that like he will return, but I don't know, just kind of like a weird thing for someone to say in that situation. But who cares? It's epic. It's like it's his catchphrase, and it was a
It's
great
his
way.
catchphrase, but in the context of the movie, he's never come back before, so why would he say that?
I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it was still
It's
epic
stupid, damn it. But
and fun. Yeah. But what was I gonna say about
yeah,
my theory,
I mean,
like the thing? But if they killed the little girl, which I knew this movie wasn't gonna do, I think that she should have either possessed, like in the after credit scene, there should have been like a better after credit. Like there was kind of an after credit scene with like the balloon boy
it's
joke
the
and like
guy
William's
who
tension.
did from the reaction videos. I don't know.
Yeah.
Respectfully, I felt like a fucking old man during that part because everyone was clapping. I didn't know who that was. So I was
Yeah,
like,
honestly, I'm
who
not too
is this?
familiar with Corey
And
X Kenshin either. Like I've heard of him, but I was never like as into his content as like some people were. But it's cool that
yeah.
he was in the movie too. So yeah, but
Mm.
yeah, if she would like then maybe an after credit scene, I think two things should have happened. If the girl died, which I knew wasn't gonna happen, I say the after credit scene could have been her possessing either the animatronic baby or puppet, which I have a feeling you don't know who they are, but they're popular
I don't
animatronics
know
in the
who it is.
FNAF lore that fit really well into the lore.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, that would have
Sure.
taken like that would have just blown my mind. I would have like cheered. The whole audience would have cheered if that happened, especially after the William craze. Like as soon as they said his name, the whole fucking theater clapped where we were in. It was amazing. I loved it. It was so good. But then there was um the other one after credit scene I might have want was just kind of like I don't know, maybe like showing a more decayed version of the Spring Bonnie thing. I don't know, just a different way of like foreshadowing William's return or something. But like, I don't know. But you can't have it all. But like, I feel like I kind of just expected a bigger after credit scene in this movie because of like all how big of a franchise this has become. So yeah, but it was cool. I had a great time watching it. Um, yeah, I think I've said most of
Yeah.
the stuff I wanted to say. There's probably other stuff I left out, like a little thing. I know I've pointed this out already to you, but like this is a small thing, and while the visuals of this movie mostly look really good, A little thing that I just didn't really like was the taser effect they used, which just
Oh,
kind of took
that
me
kind of
out
took
of
me
it.
out of it.
Yeah, it
It
just
was
felt
just,
really out of place, especially since all the
mhm.
visuals beforehand looked pretty good. So like, it just felt kind of distracting with the cheap usage of it. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's just kind of a nitpick, not a huge complaint, but still just something I felt like pointing
Mhm.
out that was kind of distracting to me. But
Yeah.
yeah, we've been talking about this
Um,
movie for a while. I had quite a bit to say about it, but
yeah,
yeah,
no, it's a very interesting movie. I think we're good to wrap up now for the most part, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I
There's
think
probably more I
it's
could
weird.
say about the lore, but honestly, I had a good time with it. You know, the film, it's definitely missing stuff like Markiplier and more develop of William Afton, but hopefully Markiplier's in the sequel. Hopefully, if he, I feel like by the time the sequel comes out, Iron Lung would definitely be out. So there shouldn't be scheduling conflicts. I bet they could get him for the sequel. So yeah,
They'd figure something out. Uh,
he better be like
mhm,
to make up for the fact that he was in the first film. He better be a prominent character in the second film to make up for that. You know, like
mhm.
yeah, they gotta make up for that though. But man, honestly, I wish we were in a
Oh,
universe where we did have the opening scene with Markiplier because that would have just been a great
mhm.
way to just set up the
Oh,
movie. It would have
that
been
would have been so
insane
cool.
if the movie opened with Markiplier. That would have been amazing. But
Yeah,
oh
see, to
well.
be honest, though, okay. See, I want to say that these problems will be fixed in a sequel. However, I don't think that's gonna happen. Mainly because, like, see, I don't know. The main thing is I don't know. I know the main problem of the movie are that it focuses way too much on being a thing for like the fans, rather than just being like, oh, this is a good movie that I can like watch and whatever. And I think they could fix that in a sequel. However, I feel like they're just gonna hone in on their demographic of, oh, FNAF fans. They know what they want, so we're just gonna go to talk about FNAF fans again.
Mhm.
And it's like, and I'm sure for people like you and kind of people like me, I can have fun with that. But also, I doubt these sequels will be that well crafted of movies. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Scott. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
Go on.
I hope the sequel. I can't wait for the sequel. I hope they do more with William. I don't know. It just feels like this
Hmm.
movie is just a weird setup in terms of like it just doesn't like do that good of it. If there is gonna be more coming, which like the movie has like a huge chunk of the story that feels left missing. Like it feels like an incomplete movie. But in the way it's like even if this is like a fucking I don't know, like a fucking Dune situation, which I know is really bizarre to compare the fucking FNAF movie to shit like Dune or Across the Spider-Verse in terms of part two, and then we gotta have the second part for the story to be complete. But I feel like this movie is like much different in that way. So I know it's a weird comparison, but like it just feels weird because we have such a big chunk of the story missing. You know what I mean? In that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like
I
even
get what
then,
you're
if we
saying.
do get the other chunk of the story, this movie would still like not have been good with like setting that up. Like it could have done it in a lot better because a lot would have to be crammed into the sequels. But we'll see what they do with that. Um, for all we know, this will probably be a franchise. I think I remember them saying that Matthew Lillard signed on to like more films, so this will probably get a sequel. And this movie's doing financially well, so that's definitely gonna solidify it. So yeah, can't wait for the sequel.
Mhm.
I'm definitely seeing that too, and we will be talking
I'm
about
pretty sure
that.
that I don't know. I could be missing. I'm pretty sure the sequels are already confirmed. No,
I'm not. I think
or
there's been like rumors about him. It's probably gonna happen. I think they might have teased it. I'm not. I don't know the full thing, but it's probably gonna happen. I think it's safe to say that.
okay.
So
All right.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm gonna give this movie get into ratings. I think I've said everything. I could probably say more, but we'll be here all day.
one more note. Really wish there was an I Show Speed cameo. But
Okay.
that is all.
I'm gonna
Show the
I'm gonna
meat
give this
and
movie a 5 out of 10. It's a generous one, I know, and I know I criticized it a lot, but I still just had a
mm,
fantastic time with it, despite all of its issues, which there's a lot of
yeah,
them, trust me.
yeah. Honestly, this movie is kind of really bad. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. So objectively, it's probably like a 3. However, you were like groaning me like Matthew, that's too long.
I just
I
said
don't
that
know.
because I was like, disappointed. But I'm fine if you like switch it to a 3. I think that's fair because the movie is not very good in a lot of areas. So
Yeah, I don't know. So right now, I'll roughly we'll say it's like a 4 for now, but it's like a 4 3 out of 10 range. We'll say high 3, low 4. That's what I'm thinking for now. And yeah, that's FNAF, I guess.
I guess
See you guys next year when we talk about FNAF 2.
actually,
When that
I don't know
happens.
when it'll come out, but it'll probably come out like in a couple of years or something. But we'll see.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll move on to the next film, which probably won't have as much to say. The new South Park movie
Well,
that
I have a
came
little
out.
more, but yeah. All right, South Park joining the Panderverse. Now, I have talked about my relationship with South Park. I think the more this podcast goes on, the more my relate dynamic with South Park has changed. So we did that episode like a while ago on Bigger, Longer, and Uncut
Mhm.
before I had seen the show. Then in the 2023 video, the 2022 video, I discussed the streaming wars movies and how my dynamic had evolved. By that point, I had seen the full show, and currently it's still in my top 5, probably not like one of the best shows, but South Park is very digestible for me. I can put on an episode and get a good chuckle out of it if in that golden era of seasons 4 to season 18, and even some of the seasons afterwards. Season 26 has been on like a very nice upspurt that I've been very happy about. But now we're back again with these joining the Panderverse, which I was cautiously optimistic for, because so the COVID movies, some of my all-time favorite modern South Park stories, they take the characters in a really neat route, and it's something that they really took use of having that double length to make something really unique and really well done that I love. The streaming wars is the complete opposite, where I'm like, no, you do not justify your length. You take the characters in weird directions. There's some stuff that makes me flat out uncomfortable with all the pee shit and fucking breast implant Cartman.
Yeah,
Those are
that sounds
honestly
brutal.
really bad specials, and on the contrary, some of my least favorite modern South Park. So for this, I was like, we could go one way, we could go the other. And I was really fucking hoping that these would. I was happy when the topic got revealed, because I was so scared these would be about the lawsuits that Matt and Trey have been facing with Warner Brothers and Paramount in a similar way, like they literally predicted with streaming wars last year. That did not happen though, very luckily. So now we're here with joining the Panderverse, and I think I'm a little more positive on it than you. But I thought this was fucking great
Yeah,
personally.
I
I
enjoyed
really.
it. Like I'm like a neutral South Park fan. Unlike you, I've seen like I haven't seen as much as you. I've seen like glimpses of it. I've seen a good amount of episodes from like all around the series. I've seen some of the other movies like the COVID specials. I haven't seen the streaming wars one yet. I'll probably get
Yeah,
around to
you've
that.
seen the
I saw this
yeah,
one.
you've
It
seen the
looked
first
like
four seasons.
interesting, and I was kind of
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'll probably get the streaming wars just for the sake of like watching all the South Park movies. But
For completion, I get that.
yeah.
And
As for
yeah,
this, it's pretty good. I had a fun time. I thought it was really
yeah, it's
funny. I
really
like
fun.
the
I had a blast with these.
yeah
So
the
So the
comments.
general plot of this one, to run down a little bit, so we got two plot lines, which in typical South Park fashion converge in a neat way. Our A plot is about fucking. I laugh just describing it because it's so fucking stupid.
No,
So
go ahead.
Carmen has been having these nightmares where all of his friends are replaced with woke versions of, well, he describes them as woke versions of them, where Kathleen Kennedy comes in
And
and make her a chick and make them gay. And he has nightmares over this. Meanwhile, it turns out those Cartmans are just another dimension, and then apparently the woke black Cartman is having similar dreams over this. But then a dimensional merge happens, and Cartman is in the woke dimension, and our regular Cartman is replaced with a black female Cartman, and they gotta figure out how to get them together. Meanwhile, Randy, in typical Randy fashion, starts like fucking riots over
Oh
the
my
advent
god.
of like AI, and he starts fucking attacking his college and shit because he's like,
The
I could have
scene
learned how to fix things, but I went to fucking college.
I
And like,
like all the adults just like hating college. I love the scene where they get a catapult and then they just start and then
yeah,
they get and then they hire like this mechanic $2,000 to pay the mechanic to build the catapult so they could shoot at the college.
yeah.
But then like a couple seconds later, the college hires a mechanic to fix the window. So it's
Yeah.
just like
Oh my god, it's so
it's
funny,
so
and
funny.
it's
I
like,
love that part.
no, that's funny because like Randy. First of all, I love Randy in this because it's like so for like a while. I think people have had problems with Randy because famously, Integrity Farms happened, and that kind of warped Randy for a while
Yeah, I
because
heard
he was like, they're
that's
like, we
like
can't
what
get Randy. Yeah, they can't get Randy outside of Integrity episodes, and this movie takes place on a there are integrity elements in this, but it's never. It's literally not plot important at all. It just so happens that Stan lives on Integrity Farms. That's his thing now. But anyway, it's just funny because it really gets a classic Randy formula plot line that follows what I love about Randy in the after season 9 or whatever, where his thing is he's a fucking idiot who gets himself in over his head because he like thinks he's smarter than he actually is and just gets into this. He causes like a classic South Park riot, which leads to the college thing. And I just love Randy. He just yelling at his college or whatever, and he has this sense of hypocrisy where he's like, "People don't know how to do things anymore because of AI." But it's not even that Randy knows how to do it. He just calls someone else to do it.
I know.
It's such a fuck. It's so funny that I loved all that personally. Not as good as the A
Yeah,
plot stuff.
and also like
Randy's
it
great.
makes
I
sense
love
too.
him.
It's not like annoying in terms of its exaggeration. It's like parts of it are
Mhm.
exaggerated, but not to an annoying point. It like ends up being funny with like how realistic it is with like the reliance on AI and how like a huge one of the only things AI can't do is like repair things. So that's why everyone is like saying that college is useless now because AI could just
Yeah,
provide everything they're specialized in. So it's a good way of commentating on it, I say, you know, and like it
yeah.
ends up being really funny as a result to it. That's what I like about this special. It's like
Yeah.
yeah.
It is funny though. I've seen a lot of people recently just kind of fucking fly over the entire point of the special. I've been seeing, see, there are some people who are like, man, South Park really took down the woke Disney in their new special when it's like, dude, you're not supposed to fucking like Cartman in this. The whole joke is that Cartman is scared out of his mind over fucking Disney
Disney
movies
movies taking
having
over
recast.
his life and
No,
being
and like
funny.
literally, they display this because the whole idea of the movie is I don't Matt and Trey I think agree that the woke remakes like fucking Ghostbusters 2016 and all the stuff that this movie's clearly talking about. They agree that that stuff's like bullshit, but they do it in like a funny way where it's like both sides of the agenda are wrong on this because Cartman like they do this thing where when they cut to Kathleen Kennedy is just Eric Cartman, except he's like in the opposite. He's like, make her a chick and make her gay, or like the line. There's that, and it's like it's supposed to show that like really Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy are just the representation of Disney in general. They're both alternate sides of the same coin, where they both are just fucking like narcissistic and self-confident and they both want their own way and they're just too stuck in their own ways too is that they're both being just as bad as each other, which I guess is the conclusion Carmen comes to at the end when
Yeah.
he like calls himself lazy too, which I still don't get how people It is so weird. South Park fans have this awful tendency where they just miss the point of specials and be like, well, they're clearly siding with Eric. And it's like, dude, if you fucking side with Eric Cartman, respectfully, you have a problem, man. You can't even just do
Yeah,
that.
Eric Cartman's a
But
fucking lunatic.
exactly. But he's so
He's so
Cartman is
funny.
fucking hilarious in this movie. I love him in this.
Yeah.
He like his dream scene in the beginning when he's like so fucking terrified of Kathleen Kennedy, and when he's explaining it to Kyle and doing his own thing, it's really just
So
it
funny.
reminded me a bit of. It reminded me a bit of Cartman's stuff in episodes like P, where he's like fucking scared of minorities.
Yeah, I've seen that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. It reminded me of stuff like that. And then he like oh god. And then yeah, and fucking then when he's sent to the dimension where everyone's like woke, he's just terrified and running around. Oh, fuck, it's so funny when he's like sitting there and then the police walk in and like the police are black and he's like, no.
It's so funny how like awful Cartman is, like how much of a lunatic he is. That's what's so funny about him. He's such a
that's really what makes Cartman works as a character. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I love the other joke where Cartman's like he tries to run out the window, but he instead chooses to jump through the closed window right beside the open one when he's leaving Butters' house. That part's really funny. And yeah, you can. I think you were gonna say something. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
yeah, I do. One of the best parts is like I like how like you said, Cartman and like Kathleen Kennedy both represent the two sides of Disney in a lot of ways, and I think that's like where a lot of what makes the interactions and them like settling by the end. I also don't think this will be a two-parter like the other ones seem to be, because it does end it.
Well, no, I don't think so. Which is actually refreshing because I think a big part. See, the COVID movies, they work great because they have this great story that goes character-wise into the four boys' relationship in a really, really cool way. I love all that, which is great. However, the streaming wars is the complete opposite. Where it's like, look, dude, you don't quite justify that. You're way too dragged out. Literally, Streaming Wars could be a 22-minute episode of season 25 and we'd be fine. But I don't know, with this, I appreciate it because there's the two plots that they get a lot out of them, but it's not too dragged. And there's like that joke ending where it's like they reveal the whole special was just a dream of Kathleen Kennedy. And fuck, he eats like Kyle cereal.
It's so fucking bizarre.
And that bit is really funny, but that's like it feels like a joke ending. I doubt they're actually gonna do like another,
probably
another actual sequel. It's great, but yeah, another thing I do really like though is on top of all that, the designs and stuff. It's kind of a superficial style thing, but it was neat to see all the different South Park characters in this like they're all 20 something diverse women, and none of them really get focused out of the main Cartman, who really fucking wants to play Baldur's Gate free, but they get funny stuff out of it. Really, I like all that. I love I like when they do like classic South Park gags, but in like their own like revision. Butters sings the Lulu, I got some apples. Lulu, I got some too. Lulu, let's get together. Yeah, and then he does that, and oh my god! And then they do this movie has a Kenny death, but it's so funny when black Cartman
falling on the female Cartman. That was so.
Shit! Kenny. You killed Kenny. You ho! It's so funny.
And just when you think they would forget about killing Kenny, of course they do it right at the end.
Yeah,
it's great. Also, another thing I wanted to mention. Speaking of the Baldur's Gate 3 thing, one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when like the black female Cartman ends up like trying to activate this like PC thing which Kyle thinks that like it's gonna lead her back to her dimension, but instead all she's trying to do is play Baldur's Gate 3, and yet they can't be mean to her because of the PC principle thing, which is really funny.
Yeah. Oh my god, the part is so. it's weird because I was okay. So I remember PC Principal showed up and I got scared because if you don't know, PC Principal is one of my least favorite South Park characters. Because really, mainly because of season 19 and season 20, because his whole joke a lot of the time is, oh, PC Principal yells, and it's funny because he's a man who like hates when people aren't being woke, even though they're just being normal people and they're getting yelled at for just living their lives. But no, in this, I fucking love this joke. It's really funny where Kyle's like, "What? Like, look at this. This girl just walked in and is claiming to be Carmen," and then he's like, "It's so funny because he's like." I think the problem is you because he like thinks that Kyle hates like black women because he can't accept that Cartman is this, even though he's literally just fucking confused because someone else was plopped where Cartman is. It's so funny. It's weird. Even the worst characters like PC Principal get funny jokes in this. That's the power of this special. Really, there's a lot of good stuff there. I mean, on the topic of character designs, I love the part where Cartman's running around in his his home, the alternate dimension or whatever, and he's like terrified about everything. He runs up to like female Jimbo and Ned made me laugh a lot for some reason. Yeah, and then the female KFC and all that. He's really silly, but I do like all that. And then it leads to this fucking sit down with Kathleen Kennedy, which, okay, I thought the Disney stuff was gonna go a way different turn than it did, because when they cut to Disney, I thought they were gonna bring back South Park Mickey. I don't know if you thought that, but like, is Mickey gonna show up? Because they do that all with their Disney stuff.
And I've seen the stuff.
Yeah, because they've done with in the Ring and Band in China and Pandemic Special, they keep bringing Mickey, which I love him in those. He's super funny. So it's like, is Mickey gonna do it? But no, it leans more towards Kathleen Kennedy, which is I think that's really funny because a lot of the initial criticism of what the special keeps saying, of like the line that keeps getting repeated, put a chicken in it and make her lame and gay, the whole thing came from the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and how in there it was like they added Rey, who people were like, well, this is just female Luke, it's the same story again, but it's female Luke, which is why they put Kathleen Kennedy, because Kathleen Kennedy was a huge part of those sequel trilogy movies. And you could argue it's a little behind the times. It's like, well, that was 2015 and this is now. Still, I'd argue it's still relevant because, but even the special, I think Kyle name drops Miles Morales or something, but I think even this year, people were saying stuff like this with like, there were not really controversy, but I see people talk about it with Across the Spider-Verse and how they're like, is Miles a real Spider-Man? Because he's like on a black Spider-Man or whatever. And there's like actual racists who hate Miles Morales. People like woke Spider-Man. So it's still kind of a relevant conversation. And like with a lot of South Park, it's not making the most. The thing with South Park is, I always say, they're not always making the most poignant point. However, I do like that they always have something to say, even if it's not the most mind-blowing, and they go about it in a very stupid way. And the special goes around it in a very stupid way, but I do appreciate that it does have that mild point to make that is well done, and it's fun. Yeah. I like that whole bit a lot. And even they get good stuff here because they're talking about, on top of all that, they do like I love the whole thing. It's like there's satire on the multiverse here, which I actually appreciated, because I don't know about you. I've been kind of, well, not sick of it, but I've just been watching a lot of multiverse stories lately. Like Across the Spider-Verse is a main one, and the MCU, and well, Rick and Morty has it. I'm gonna assume they did fucking terrible. And most recently, Fiona and Cake did multiverse stuff, and it was really good. Don't get me wrong, I really liked what they did with it there. But the point is, I've just been dealing with a lot of multiverse stories, so it was fun that like South Park has their whole take on it. I love how Kyle's like talking about the lazy rules of the multiverse, and then
I feel like it's funny here, like with it being like have it still being despite making fun of multiverse, still doing anyway. Because in this case, the thing is just really fucking stupid and batshit to the point where I just don't really care about like that type of like
Yeah,
pointing
I
it
don't know.
out because like it's clearly like meant to be stupid in this case.
Yeah, no, this
Like
movie
there's
is
a whole
definitely at least yeah,
there's like a whole plot
yeah,
line about the freaking there's like this pander stone or what the whatnot. There's this stupid
yeah, yeah.
pander stone, and then they got to go through the Panderverse in
Mm,
order to reverse the Cartman
yeah.
thing to bring everything
Which,
back
by
to
the way,
normal.
yeah. By the way, I love
Some
when okay,
Kennedy and shit.
yeah. By the way, I do love so the Randy stuff eventually ties into the main plot with like the Panderverse or whatever. Which, by the way, I love the scene where it connects when Randy's like, "We didn't waste our time going to college. It's all
It's all
Kathleen
Kathleen Kennedy's
Kennedy's fault."
fault.
Which is funny. It's like it's fucking. It's definitely it's just making fun of people who's like, yeah, they blame all their like they're like just always blaming it on one person, even though that's not even entirely justified. I found that really funny, but like. I do always appreciate this is why I don't like season 20 as much, but because they all the plot lines there connect in a very shitty way, but shitty city walk. But with South Park, what I do like is they make a conscious effort. If they're gonna do an A plot and a B plot, they are gonna connect. It's not like Family Guy where they're entirely disconnected, or The Simpsons where they're not really connected except maybe sometimes thematically. No, with South Park, because of the way Matt, which I always really respect how Matt and Trey write their stories. They have a very this happens, therefore this happens. It's not just random shit happening. They have a good flow to what's going on, even though it's stupid. But yeah, with this, it was what I do like they connect their stories in like a fun way. I always appreciate that they do that. But it's funny. They get Randy to go into the Panderverse for them, which connects to the beginning joke where he spends the entire thing not like fixing the oven drawer. He's working on it.
Yeah,
Not now, Sharon. But it's funny when they actually cut to the Panderverse. The whole thing is that there's multiple different universes, and all that's different is fucking Randy has different clothing on. Which that's the whole. I found that really funny to me.
Yeah.
Also, if you notice, it was cool for me. My fucking nerd brain was like, "Oh my god, Randy's out of the Integrity outfit," which you wouldn't think is a big deal, but for like I think seasons 22 to practically all of 24 and most of 25, Randy does not wear his iconic geologist outfit. So I was like, where'd it go? The whole thing. And I noticed that was it was cool and
Well,
I don't know.
yeah.
Mm.
Do you have anything else to say? Because like I know I didn't say as much in this segment, but that's because I'm not as passionate about South Park, but I definitely
This is like it's kind of reverse. I know you're really passionate about FNAF, and I'm really passionate about South Park. So just I think I had a couple more additions. I just have some brief notes, now we can move on. One thing I did really like is I appreciated that we actually had more of a group story with all the boys together. Because one of my biggest criticisms of like seasons, we'll rough it and say seasons 20 to I want to say like 23, maybe 24, 25. There's a good era of South Park where I think a lot of what I fucking love about the show is like I just love the sense of it that Matt and Trey they're it's a show made by mainly two people, so it has this really rustic feel where it's just two people making a show for themselves, and it's kind of charming in this weird way. But I loved it when the show is just wacky adventures with our four boys, because Cartman, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny, they're not very complicated characters, but they get a lot out of them as a group effort. And that's why a lot of my favorite episodes there's some like, Freehat's a bad example because Kenny's not there, but there are some really fun ones where it's like, It's Christmas in Canada, where they're just going on a wacky adventure. Osama bin Laden has Freddy pants. These are the ones I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Oh, Towley, that's a great one where they're just on the stupid fucking adventure to get their game console back. There's just I love ones where just Carmen, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny are on like a wacky adventure together, and it feels like for the past couple of seasons they've been noticeably separate. In season 20, Stan,
new episodes.
Yeah. Stan, who's noticeably our main character, doesn't even get a lot in like those episodes in season 20. And even I don't know, for a while the show the big criticism you hear of season 23 is it becomes Randy the show. And I fight back against that because I don't think Integrity took up as much of the show as people say it did, but there certainly was a big like Randy influence that took over things. To TLDR at this point, there was the boys, the main four boys I feel have in there have been recent times where I feel they haven't been together as much, but it was really fun in this. Like they got like Carmen's like separated, but Stan, Kyle, and Kenny are back on just like a fucking wacky romp together. And Kenny, who you have to fucking pray can even get a spotlight. People were fucking clamoring and hooting and hollering that Kenny got something in Dick and Bow's hot dogs, even though it's just a couple lines and he doesn't he shows his face for a bit. But in this, Kenny actually gets some funny lines. He gets a death, and I love the alternate dimension Kenny, who's like still just as horny, but because you hear it unmuffled, it's still like weird ever. One is, I just think it's cool that South Park was able to. I'm glad that we get a traditional boy story again, and I think recently, just to overall wrap it up, just to give like brief final thoughts for me, it's been a great time to be a South Park fan in these recent years because I'm pretty sure you know TikTok was the big avalanche of South Park. It kind of brought
South Park to it, if I'm being honest.
South Park had this huge comeback this year, which was largely why it's become so popular in recent like times because people joining and watching the show through TikTok. And even then it was kind of well timed because season 26 is probably one of their best seasons in years. It's been the most like classic episode in years. Cupid Ye is just a classic boy story that I love that mixes in like usual stuff. And even ones I'm not as big of a fan of, I don't know, we still have a very solid lineup. They made a fucking good Garrison Trump episode in season 26. And even Japanese Toilets, I fucking love that episode, just stupid Randy hijinks, which we were missing for so long. And I don't know, the overall point is even with this, it feels like South Park's really getting off back on the right footing. And after like a couple of years where the show wasn't doing as hot, there were mild decline after season 18. It feels like South Park is back on track again. And this special was really emblematic of that for me, which made me really happy. Even though it's not perfect, I had a fucking ball of a time with this, and I'm glad to have watched it. That's my overall thought.
Not as passionate, clearly, because I didn't binge the full show.
Yeah.
But I'd say I'd recommend checking this out. I'll admit, it was cool. Like, I have seen clips from other things. It definitely feels like Randy just started taking over the show with integrity weed shit.
I
haven't seen much.
I will fight back that. Really, it's just season 23 because I think Matt and Trey fucking love integrity. I think that's mainly why. But if you notice in season 23, it's so funny. In the intro, they changed the South Park theme. Fucking the lyrics of season 23's intro is going down Integrity Farms, gonna have myself. And it's the theme song, but it's Integrity Farms.
Show.
Yeah, and instead of like Kenny doing the it's Towley. That's how much they fucking morphed it. It's so silly. Weird, but it's really just that one season. So it's nice that Randy, he's still Randy, but I feel like he's got more of what I love about Randy back. It's just been really nice for me.
I really liked this movie. I'd recommend it. I guess I'll get to the ratings now. Well, we should get to that.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'll give this a solid 7 out of 10. Good.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
I
had a good time.
Yeah, I was really positive about this one. I would give it a solid 8 8 out of 10, a little higher, but I had a really good time with this. And I think it's a good step in the right direction for South Park. I think we're heading in a good direction. I'm not sure. Okay, the weird thing is I know they have 14 movies scheduled, so I'm not sure if we're getting I'm not sure if we're getting another solo movie this year or if they're just gonna wait till next year or we're gonna wait till season 27 and that's when the next South Park
we've gotten like two movies for the past 2 years, so it'd be weird if there's only one.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
With it, but
yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it'd be cool if they did like a maybe I don't know. Maybe they waited because they could do like a Christmas themed one or something. That'd be cool at the time with the holidays, especially since they air the seasons early. Like they see ever since season 25, they started airing the seasons in February as opposed to like September's and November's. So maybe it'd be a good excuse to do a nice holiday themed story again. But I don't know what Matt and Trey are cooking, and clearly they have fucking a lot on their plate now because they got the Snow Day video game. They got.
I can't wait for that one. I saw the trailer and I was
they got Snow Day, which I've heard mixed things, but I'm excited for that personally. I think it's gonna. They look like fun games.
So yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And they gotta have a fucking restaurant to work in because they bought Casa Bonita.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, that's fucking insane. Like that. Just side note, that's just so cool to me. They it was their childhood restaurant, and they made an episode about it. And because of that episode's popularity, they were able to fucking buy the place. That's so badass. Props to you, Matt and Trey. You're some of my. You're the goats. You're not listening to this, but you're some of my biggest inspirations. But I think that's it, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, this episode, we had more to say about these. Despite only doing 2 movies, we had quite a bit to say about both, especially.
Yeah, I'm glad we picked these, because even though they were, we haven't done a 2-movie episode in a while, but either way.
No, usually those ones would be short, but the ones we chose, we had quite a bit to say about, even though, it's kind of a bizarre mix and match, but, it was still cool to talk about it. Yeah. Well, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Camping Cast. Next time will actually be the Freddy Part 2 thing that I know I kind of teased it last time.
We couldn't get it out by Halloween, guys, but we would have to fucking rush to meet that deadline.
Yeah, it would just be hard, so I hope, so this is kind of just our Halloween special, so...
This is our compromise, Halloween. I guess.
Hope you got a good Halloween, I guess.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah. And thank you for watching. Tune in for another episode, and bye-bye.